who doesn't love boats? Boats are awesome, and they have like a design language all their own.
Hey you guys, welcome. Here we are today, floating on the Duluth Harbor. Joel, how many layers do you have on this early summer day?
17.
17-ish. Early summer is a little bit generous. We are talking all about floating saunas, of which we are currently bobbing upon right now. Joel, what do you love about designing, building, enjoying floating saunas?
Oh man, who doesn't love boats? Boats are awesome, and they have like a design language all their own. You know, we live in this place of amazing maritime history and present. Duluth actually has an amazing boat building history, and we got to just dip into the surface a little and make our own boat.
We are a part of that history, the present history, and now folks are coming to us from all over the country asking, can we have a boat? And we've never been one to turn down a good idea and clients who are interested in creating beautiful objects.
Yeah, I mean, when you make a cool thing, and it's like, it doesn't just look cool, but also is a cool experience, people are like, hey, can I have one?
Yep.
And, it's complicated.
It is complicated. Yeah. So, in our video, I want to hit on just a couple of things. One is, we love this, we love designing these type of experiences in both sort of that form and function to operate also commercially. So there's a bit of a discussion we'll have about that. And then also how hard it is. Joel, how many sort of disciplines went in to making this thing a reality?
Well, it has the usual sauna disciplines, carpentry, metalwork, kind of building science, electrical, design, material science, a lot of stuff. But that has this whole other element, which is marine design. On top of like marine making other things more complicated, like marine makes electric a lot more complicated. So there's a lot of elements to it because you want to make a beautiful thing. You want it to be a beautiful sauna. You want it to function well as a sauna, but you also want it to not sink. You want it to comply with your local authorities. And you want it to last in spite of being in a really harsh environment. So there's more to think about than a landlubber's sauna.
Absolutely. A little more complex of a project we undertook. And now we've been hosting hundreds of people all winter. We've been having folks jump into the harbor. The seasons are changing, and we're getting ready for some summer swim time, which is even more fun now that we're going to experience sort of all aspects of the water. Joel, as we have folks coming to us, they're asking a big important question. Can I take it out? Can I go seafaring, right? Can I be on the water, have the picnic, the sauna, and all of it? Talk a little bit about what are the kind of big forks in the road for sauna design?
Sure. So for floating saunas, there's a rather complicated decision tree based on what you're trying to do. Is it for personal use? Is it for commercial use? Is it little? Is it medium? Is it big? Is it something that's going to get transported, whether to a place in the first place, or is it something you might be able to trailer around and go from one lake to the next lake? All of these things end up making very significant, having different outcomes depending on what branch of this tree you go down or up. Trees are, otherwise it's a root.
Yeah,
a root system.
It's a root metaphor, it's a branch metaphor.
And out the branches. Anyway, and we have a few people right now who are asking us to design different things for them with different use cases. We've got one who wants a personal use thing, wants to be able to have it be really nimble, take it a bunch of places. That takes us up one branch. Mm-hmm. We have someone else who says, hey, I just want a stationary thing where you still get the feel of the water, you get the vibe of being on the water. But it doesn't need motors. I don't need to take it out and about. We're talking to somebody else who says, oh, I want it to be kind of medium-sized and take-outable and commercial. And so all these things lead us in different directions, all the way kind of from the hull up.
What was your favorite part of designing this and sort of most proud element now that it's real and in the world?
man, this was a really fun thing to design and build. I remember that I was on vacation with my family and I had my notebook and I was just sketching like, what shape would a boat be? And we ended up on this one. We picked a very boaty kind of language. The front is kind of raked. It's got a super marine feel about it. And we're also building it on a big salvage barge. And so we had almost unlimited weight capacity to play with. The barge alone weighs 20,000 pounds before we put anything on top of it. So we were talking big weight. We had all kinds of opportunity with what we could build, the materials we could use. So drawing a shape on paper and then turning it into a real thing is always a delight. Mm-hmm. But when that shape on paper also has a bunch of functions, like one is this marine function, which is neat, and that was our first time doing it. And then the other is this public function, people coming, taking off their shoes, hanging up their robes, getting a glass of tea, sitting in the hot room, getting all hot, going outside, jumping in the water, coming up on the deck, having a picnic, jumping in the water. The idea of how the physical shape ties together with that experience is like really fun to think through. And it comes out of what are the constraints? Because that, just as much as that tree, every part of the branch you go down, you're also cutting off other avenues you can't do anymore. So the constraints end up being really fun. Like on this particular barge that we salvaged, it had steps down to the water, which is amazing, coolest feature ever. Well, guess what? That ended up shaping the entire thing. Yeah. What way the hot room would be organized, which way you would walk through it, where the stove needed to be, all sprung from that one constraint. So it's fun. You get, on one hand, like the sky's the limit, and on the other hand, it's like, hey, I've got some really hard lines here that determine what I can do now. I'll tell you one thing that turned out to be a real challenge about designing this is compliance. There's a whole other law of the sea that's not the same as the law of the land, and we had a lot of long conversations with the Coast Guard delving into all the details, along with our own fire department and the life safety folks, the DNR. There's a lot of people who get involved when you get into a marine environment. Well, first of all, from just being a good human, it's incredibly important, but also from business point of view, liability, all that stuff, you got to have your act together. So that's an important part of this. It's something we delved into on this, and that now that we're designing for some other use cases, we're continuing to get deeper into. We are now working on like a bunch of different form factors. Some of them are like, this is like a sweet boat that you can just launch behind your pickup and zoom out on the water and go sauna and swim in with your friends. All the way from that to like much bigger than this stationary object in a different waterway and stuff in between. So we're working on kind of the compliance issues, the marine design issues for those different types of craft. It's very interesting, but interesting in like a Minnesota sense, like, that's interesting.
Like difficultly interesting.
Yeah, but it's also super important. Yep. So that's one of the things we're committed to doing right. And if you become interested in doing a floating sauna, that's one of the things we got to talk about first.
Yeah, we think you have to, whether it's for commercial or personal use and recreational use, to just be committed to that safety on the water, and safety needs to include compliance. I actually love the fact that we get to sort of work in these couple of different use cases, because it actually turns into a very different looking, feeling, and operating object. Yeah. So lots more form factors to come. So if you guys are interested in designing something really fun for the water, we would love to work with you. I mean, we are designing spaces from coast to coast, and we would love to walk down that decision tree and those branches with you. We'd love to get creative about how those things work, whether it's residential or commercial, if you want to take it out or you just need it next to the dock. Check out all the details on our website, cedarandstonesauna.com/build, and that's going to walk you through all the ways to get connected to Joel and I and our team. Thanks, Joel, for being here, for geeking out. We're going to heat the thing up, and the team's going to start using it now, and we're going to have a day on the water. So we'll see you guys on the next one.